and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown, Anthony Hartwig, Ty Bartell, and as you can tell, we are joined to start off the show by Ursuline head coach of the girls basketball team, Bernard Scott. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Coach, we were talking a little bit off air, too, about this team starting to really find it and click towards the end of the season, too. I mentioned how I saw them a little bit later, too, when you guys played Fitch. Just talk to me about what you've seen really starting to come along with this team, what things they are doing really well towards the end of the season, and what you saw in that United game that got you to this point.
Yeah, I just think they're really starting to play more together. They're starting to have each other's back a little more, which is very important. But I also think they're just playing hard and they're playing with a purpose. They've really taken to my coaching and have bought into what me and the staff is telling them. Against United, they just really played well defensively. We locked down defensively, made it really tough for United to score, and it gave us momentum. And I believe it helped our offense as well because we didn't have so much pressure to score because we were causing them to have a hard time to score. So I'm really proud of how they're playing right now and looking forward to playing tonight.
You said it. The old adage is defense wins championships. When you hold teams under 30 points, I mean, that just means you don't have to be perfect on offense. You just have to do enough on offense.
Right.
What kind of pressure does that take off of your scores? The people that kind of put pressure on themselves to go out there and put up the points for you guys to know that, I don't have to go and have a 20-point game for us to win.
Yeah, it takes a lot. And, we've tried to tell that to the young ladies that we're not going to be able to get this done with just one player. We're going to have to – this is going to be a team effort on the offensive end, on the defensive end. And, yes, we got two young ladies that score the ball for us quite often, and Lily Scott and Elena Smith, but we can't win games without the others. And I think that's what we're all starting to really notice as far as them playing more together and playing for each other.
Coach, shout out some of those players that you've seen that have stepped up now here down the stretch too, because you and I both know too, once you get deeper in that tournament run, they start keying in on your best players, and it's those role players that need to step up that make differences. Who have you noticed that have stepped up in this late in the season?
Well, you're right about that. As I mentioned, Elena Smith and Lily, and Lily Scott's been our main players, but Meredith Gray has really helped this squad as far as we run a lot of things through her. She's able to handle the ball as a forward, and she's a good passer and good high IQ player. And then Grace as well. Grace, our senior. We don't have any seniors. I'm sorry, junior. Post player, she's done a really good job of talking on the defensive end. She defended the United post very well, and I thought that set the tone for us winning that game with the way she came out and defended that kid.
You talk about your role players, and you just brought them up, but so important for girls to not just understand their roles but accept them. Talk about what you've seen from the growth in these girls this year to not just understand what their roles are on the floor, but then accept them and go and execute them as well.
Yeah, I think that's taken some time for, everybody to figure out where they can really help this team. But I think we're there now. I think, everybody realize how they're being used and what they can bring to the table. Chelsea Johnson, our wing player, she's a lengthy kid that can get to the rim and defend. So she's realizing that. I just mentioned Grace Leslie. Her talking brings us energy, and it also helps us defensively. And then, Meredith with her ability to run the offense through her and her high IQ. And then Lily and Elena just continuing to do what they're able to do. All of that has really helped us. And I think everybody knows going into the game, like, this is what coach is expecting of me. This is what my teammates are expecting of me. And that's really important that they know that.
When we talked prior to the season, Coach, we talked about the fact that you weren't going to have any seniors going into this season. It was going to be a younger team too. Talking about the growth and expectations to reality-wise, where does that kind of fit right now? How are the expectations before the season? Are you meeting them right now? Are they over-exceeding, or where's that at?
Well, I think we're right where we're probably supposed to be. I'm a little disappointed because I felt like we could have won a few more games, but with us being young, we weren't able to pull out some close games that I thought we could have. But I think our freshmen have come along very well with Marina and Nia and Katie and Carmen, those guys. I think they've done a good job of helping. And I think overall we have grown. And I thought we saw that on Saturday against United. And I look forward to, hopefully seeing us take another step tonight against a good Brookfield team.
Obviously, to win the tournament, you got to be confident. So what are some big confidence boosts that you guys have had this year where you've seen the confidence of your players kind of grow and grow and grow?
Well, I tell you what, we've played a tough schedule. I would put our schedule up against any other Division III school and probably say it's been one of the toughest. And what I can say about our young ladies is that they have fought in every game. They have competed in every game. So I think that's a confidence builder. Even though we didn't win some of those games, I think our ability to compete and have a chance to win those games helped us. But we've also been able to pull out some games, the United game this past Saturday, the Kent Central Catholic game the week before. Those are close games that we weren't winning at the beginning of the year, and now we're able to pull them out. So that just shows that we're growing and we're going in the right direction.
We mentioned the Brookfield team. You mentioned them as well. This is a team that has some height. They rebound really well. But what are some other things that you see from Brookfield that might be a little bit challenging for you guys to face? But what do you think you do really well that you might be able to combat with them tonight?
Well, they're a solid team. We scrimmaged them at the beginning of the year. So we got some type of idea of how they play. But they got a really good player in the Hooks kid. She's going to be somebody we gotta watch and make sure she doesn't have a career night. But their whole starting five is pretty solid. So for us, we're gonna go in and control the things we can control, and that's our ability to play defense and compete on that end of the floor. And then offensively, I think we have some areas on the offensive end that we can take advantage of them with. So it should be a good game. I think Coach does a good job over there. He's got a solid team, but we're looking forward to going into Struthers and competing tonight.
This is obviously an Ursuline girls basketball program that has a lot of success in its past and tradition. What would it mean to you as the first-year head coach to kind of get them back into a district championship with a win tonight and to try to get this program back to where it was in its past?
It would mean a lot, not only for me, but for the girls. A lot of people have wrote us off. We don't get a lot of attention. No one's really paying attention to us. They don't think we're good enough this year. We've heard it all. So it's not really about me. It's really about the girls and them feeling the success of their hard work paying off. Do I think it's possible for us to get to that championship game? Yes, I do. I think we've worked hard. I think we're prepared. I think tonight's going to be a good game, and we're going to have a chance to win that game. And, if that happens, I'm definitely going to be happy, but more so I'm going to be happy for our players.
Talking about this entire team too, for just how young they are, I think they've shown a lot of growth too, and we mentioned that. And going into the field house, talk to me about how important the community for the Youngstown community for this Ursuline Lady Irish team has been in supporting you guys, and how important that support's going to be when you guys go to the field house tonight.
Yeah, it's important. We had a great crowd for our Mooney game at our place, which was awesome. The atmosphere was unbelievable. We want to try to get that atmosphere at Struthers tonight. We need our support. We need our fans there. These girls need to know that people out there have their back and are supporting them. I get it. We're girls basketball. We're not going to get as many fans as the boys, but why not? Why not? They're playing good basketball right now. Tonight's going to be an opportunity for fans to see four good teams play in one site. Why wouldn't you come out and experience that? And, if you have a young daughter, I don't know why you wouldn't bring her to watch four good teams play a game that your young daughter probably enjoys playing herself. So I'm hoping fans come out. It's, game start at 6. We're at 7:30. And I guarantee it's going to be two good games.
And it's the only show in town, too, Coach, because every other district is, a sizable trip away. You got Grand Valley, Uniontown Lake, Lakeview. You guys are right in town. So if you're not coming to Brothers, I don't know what you're doing as a basketball fan. Last question before we let you go.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've talked about the youth of this team, and it's a big moment. The district tournament, the lights are going to be on. Struthers is going to put on a show. How do you kind of gauge or combat not getting too big in the moment or too caught up in the lights?
Well, what I've tried to do, whether I was coaching this team or coaching my college teams, we're just going to go as we went all year long. We've done nothing different. We've not made this game any bigger than any other game that's been on the schedule. We're going in to compete the way we've competed every day on the schedule. With every game on the schedule. So for us, I'm sure, our players would be pretty hyped up and ready to go. But what I'm going to tell them is, hey, this is just another game, and we're going to go in and play the way we're capable of playing. And if we do that, we're going to give ourselves a chance to win it and be in that championship game on Saturday.
Coach, my final question for you too. Obviously, we know the area coaches do so much for these kids and teaching these kids so many valuable life lessons, both in and outside of the sports they teach. But we also know most coaches will tell us too, they take as much away from the kids as they give to them too. So what's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself coaching this team this season?
Oh, man. I think what I've learned is patience. They're a good group of young ladies, but I don't think they were ready for a coach like myself that was going to be demanding and, really push them to reach their full potential. Whether you're the best player on the team or the 10th player on the team, it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to get pushed the same way. So for me, I think they showed me patience. They showed me the ability to coach at this level. I've coached at the college level, and it's a little different than this level. So, I think they've really helped me to understand this level of basketball.
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and give us a little preview of tonight's game and a little insight into your program. We wish you the best of luck in your future, and we hope to talk to you again real soon, maybe about a district championship in a couple weeks.
Guys, I hope so. I appreciate you having me. Anytime we can talk Ursuline basketball, that's a good thing.
It's a great thing for us as well, Coach. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Have a great one.
Bernard Scott, the head coach of the Ursuline girls basketball team, joining us live to start off the show. No better way to start off the show than talking to Coach Scott.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Ursuline has some great coaches that they bring in there too. Scott, a first year over there. And like I said, I noticed it late in the season too. That record didn't reflect what Ursuline is capable of doing. They surprised both of us in our picks too. but I'm not going to be. I'm not at all surprised that the Irish were able to come away victors and get to this point again.
To answer this question, so Ursuline will be playing Brookfield at Struthers. They'll be the second game. The first game at Struthers will be Waterloo and Liberty. Those games will be at Struthers. Over in the other Division III district, which will be at Lakeview, Garfield will be playing Berkshire. Sorry, I had a mind blank. And then Champion will be playing Kirtland. Those two games happening in Lakeview for Division 3. For Division 4, the districts are Middle Ridge and Grand Valley. At Middle Ridge, you're going to see Lisbon take on Springfield at 6, and then you'll have Maplewood versus Jackson Milton at 7:30. At Grand Valley, you'll see Bristol against Lowville at 6, and then you'll have Western Reserve versus McDonald at 7:30. That's in Grand Valley. And then going up to Division 2, you're going to have Poland versus West Branch at Uniontown Lake, and Salem versus Chagrin Falls Kinston at Ashtabula Lakeside. So the Poland West Branch game will be broadcasted. I'll be there. Well, the Salem game, DJ is going to be filming an episode of Level Up, which is going to be awesome. So you're going to have to look forward to that. And then all the other games are going to be covered. Alec Caberna will be in Struthers. The Lakeview student staff will be in Lakeview. Noah Doty is going to travel to Middle Ridge. And Eric Hughes will be going to Grand Valley. So all of our tournament games tonight will be locked and covered, and it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, and it's going to be exciting on the network. $9.99 gets you access to all those games if you can't make it live in attendance. And if you can't, you should be there in some form or capacity, because tonight's going to have so many great matchups all over the area.
And there are a couple of places where we're guaranteed at least one team in the district championship. Some places where we could get a YSN versus YSN matchup and be guaranteed a team in regionals.
That'd be really cool.
Can't wait. But for now, let's take a little pause and go to wrestling, because we got Gary Altizer in the green room. Gary, thanks for waiting a little bit and coming on a little bit late today. We appreciate your time as always. It's time to talk some wrestling tournaments, because they're on the horizon. The seeds aren't out yet, but we don't know when they're going to be out. So instead of playing the waiting game, we decided to just have you on today.
Yeah, sectionals, it's hard to tell. Some years we get them during the week. Other years we get them the morning of. So, and I believe that's what it said on our flyer for this year, is that we'll get it Saturday morning will be the seating meeting. So we don't have those for ours anyway in Rootstown yet.
I mean, when you get the seating so late, what kind of strain does that put on a coach to have to make those kind of decisions pretty late in the game?
Well, when it comes to sectionals, you've pretty much already got all your decisions made. So, by then you got the kids in the weight classes that you want them in or where they want to be. So there's really not any finding out the seeds late. The only thing it does is you don't get to study the brackets ahead of time. But other than that, there's not really much that, the coaches have to do extra.
As far as the brackets are concerned too, I mean, this is a set instance too where coaches can kind of pick and choose their path correctly. Or is this the coaches poll, or is this the one where it's voted on by OHSAA? Is this like OHSAA rank, or is these coaches polls that are going into it?
Well, so you go into what's called Baum's page. That's wrestling software that's used for bracket tournaments, and they have some criteria. So it's not even really, it's not a vote or anything like that. It's criteria, and it is decided by your district placement, your state placement, and your record. So if somebody was to be a state champ, they're automatically number one seed. If they were a state placer or state qualifier or district placer, they would get priority over somebody who just has a winning record. And if none of those things exist, it just goes by record and on down from there. So that's all taken out of it. It's basically done for you, and the software will put guys in the seeds that they, that they've decided, or that in that formula, and where that they put them where they go. Now, in years past, it seems like we'll have coaches who will say, well, this kid might have a better record than mine, but I beat him head to head in the last matchup. So there could be some things that flip there, but usually it's just done by the criteria in the software.
So it sounds like kind of like football. It's kind of it excludes the human element. It says straight up, this is what it's going to be. But you also, it sounds like the coaches can kind of appeal, like you said, if there's a head-to-head beat, we beat them head-to-head. Can the coaches kind of appeal that seating if they don't agree with it? Is that the deal?
Well, yeah, like I said, some years we do and some years we don't. So like last year we were able to do that. We were, we had a Zoom meeting and all the coaches were on. Each weight class came up. They were in whatever the criteria decided their seating would be, first through however many. And then if there was somebody who had an argument, so they go with the first seed. So-and-so is the first seed. Does anyone have an argument for that? And then a coach who may have beat that kid head to head might say, hey, we just wrestled them and we won. So then it would go from there. But it can really turn into, when you do it like that, it can really turn into, really difficult to determine if you've got 3 or 4 guys who've all beat each other head to head and all have kind of around the same records. That's when it kind of can get, more difficult to decide. But most of the time, it's pretty obvious who the high seed should be.
Does it happen more often, less often, or about the same where a high seed gets tough draws and has to go through tough matchups, has a tougher road to state than maybe someone in the mid-tier or a lower seed?
No, the higher seeds usually have the best path to get there. That's the benefit to getting the high seed, is to get yourself put in the best position possible. So the way a bracket works, the number 1 seed will go at the top. The number 2 and number 3 seed go at the bottom of the bracket, then the number 4 seed, so on and so forth. So to get to the finals in the bottom half of the bracket, you'd have to beat the number 2 and number 3 seed, unless you're one of those 2 seeds, to get in. Whereas the number 1 seed would only have to beat the number 4 seed, who in theory would be his, best competition in that half of the bracket.
I know we don't have all the seeds yet, but I'm sure there are guys that you can go into talking about that are clear favorites or should make it really far in this tournament. Who are some guys in the Ysn family that you think really got to keep an eye on and could really make a big run when you talk about going into state and going and wrestling in Columbus?
Well, we start with the state champion South Range. They've got a bunch of kids that really could do something. The Samil kid, for them, I think, is probably one that has a real shot to get at the top of the podium. And then on down from there, the Starkey kids, both of them, they're great wrestlers. Markulin, really, there's probably 5 or 6 of those guys, but I'd say of them, it would probably be Samil, I would think, probably has the best path. Or the best chance, at least looking way back, where do I even got the sectionals yet? Of course, Logan Hours from Beaver Local. He is still the predicted state champion in the final state rankings that came out not too long ago, the other day. And the Andel kid and the Cell kid from Garrettsville Garfield, I think they both have a really great chance. And then, some of those, the Louisville kids, they've got several of them. The Hoffarth kid, the Castro kid. I mean, they've got several in there. I'd say the Hoffarth kid would probably be the one that I would keep my eye on for a state champion out of them, although they may have a couple of them there.
Gary, there's some confusion in the comments. So can you alliterate the difference between when South Range won the state championship as a team and what we're talking about now, and how like this is individual and that was a team state championship, and what goes into those two things going on at the same time?
Okay, so think about track. In track, there is the state tournament, which is individuals that run, and however many kids you have make it to state, they run and they score you points. And say you only have 4 kids make it to state, but all 4 are state champions, you're probably got a good chance to be state champions because of their individual efforts. Now, let's say the track had, I don't know the track does this. Oh, I think they do, yeah. Where it's just you versus another team in these different events, and whoever wins the most of those events would win that track meet with those 2 teams. Or like we talked before, like basketball. We have the team tournament for basketball, which is what the state runs as a team tournament. So that's what South Range won. So let's say that the best basketball team in the YSN network, whoever they are, they're state champions this year. Let's say that there's also a second tournament, which would be one-on-one. Let's say the state of Ohio decided to be a state that has a one-on-one basketball tournament where your 5 starters would all get to play one-on-one at each position. So you say you got, forward, center, whatever, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, whatever. And they would go through, and each individual position would have a state champ, if that makes any sense. So the team championship is a duel where it's just one team versus another, and that's the one that South Range won. So they went through the bracket, and they beat everybody they wrestled to become team tournament or dual team champions. And the one that we're getting ready for this weekend is the individual weight classes who'll be wrestling for a state championship. Hopefully that made sense.
And talking about the individual weight classes too, and with the sport being so individualistic, can you speak on to the reason why having a team state championship or a state championship that a team can represent is important for the sport of wrestling that is typically such an individualistic sport?
Oh, yeah, it's huge because it builds camaraderie. It builds the team aspect. It builds rivalries. I mean, if you're not focusing on the team, then you're right. It just becomes about an individual or individuals. Whereas in the dual tournament, everybody has to work together. Some guys bump up in weight classes, to help their team out, which we saw Coach Marcoolin talk about, where he bumped up a couple of guys. And we talked about there were 3 guys on that South Range team that lost, but they didn't get pinned. So they saved their team points. In other words, the other team, I think we said, scored 6 less points because those guys bumped around. They wrestled really tough wrestlers, but they didn't get pinned. And some of them just lost by a decision or a major decision. So that saved them 16 points. Those are the kind of things that you wouldn't be able to see or to know, or a coach wouldn't be able to do if we're just focusing on the individuals. And when guys come in and step up and do those things for their team, it builds the excitement on the team. It makes them feel like they're a more important part of the team. It gets talked in the hallways with the kids, to recruit more kids out on the team. The team aspect really is one that I think that wrestling especially benefits from more than a lot of other sports, because there is that second element that can be a distraction, or not even a distraction, just another focus for the team, where when you're just focusing on 1 or 2 kids, it's a much different dynamic than focusing on all 14 weight classes, at once. 1 or 2 kids, as in state qualifiers, I would say, however many you have.
Gary E.J. Yoakley Folkley, the 90th. He wants to know about Stephen Mara and what his path in this tournament might look like, and maybe some of the big roadblocks that'll be in his way.
Yeah, he definitely is another one that could win it all. I think he's ranked in the top 3 right now. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see, him go through that. He's definitely he's got everything that you need or would want out of a state champion. He's got the experience, he's got the strength, he's got the technique, and he's got the mat time. So, yeah, he's another one. I was just going off the top of my head. He definitely could be another one up there. And again, that West Branch program does very well with the upper weights.
I just wanted to comment, and I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but I don't know if we even talked about it on here before. Anthony, you shared that post with that wrestler that won state. No legs,
I shared
missing.
It with Gary too. And then Gary came back and he shared there are multiple stories like his. But the Virginia state champion, a wrestler without, with the amputated legs, won the state championship in Virginia. It's just one of those incredible things. And Gary, not as rare. Obviously, you sent me 2 other stories just like it. So not exactly a once in a lifetime thing that you see with someone with that kind of disability successful at wrestling.
Yeah, that was a great story. You're happy for that kid. You saw how excited he was after he won. Those kind of stories are what make this sport special. There was another story, one that I sent to Anthony, on Zion Clark, who is from Ohio, and he wrestled for Kent State, one of the Kent State branches. I can't remember which one, the New Philadelphia branch, I think, that he wrestled in college, and he was in the same situation, no lower torso. He did, really well. I think he might have been a state qualifier in Ohio, or almost a state qualifier. And he has a really nice documentary on Netflix that I think is free to watch on YouTube. It's really great to see what that kid had been through. And the most famous wrestler who's ever done anything like that, his name's Anthony Robles. He only has one leg, and he wrestled for Arizona State. He was a multiple-time All-American. He was a national champion and undefeated his senior year. And watching stories like that, it just makes me, as a person and as a coach, appreciate the sport more, because it's given opportunities to kids who don't have these opportunities in a lot of other sports. So to be able to come out for a sport like this, where it is completely 100% contact, completely physical, and for those kids to be successful like that, or other kids to see this, other kids with this in the same situation, to see guys like this being successful, I think it's a great thing. And it was really exciting to see that match. And I have a feeling that that'll probably become more common as time goes on, as these kids see that, hey, I can go out there and do this, and I can, I can be successful.
I saw some comments in that story that kind of point out that if you handle it right, and if you have a coach that can be strategic about it, that can actually kind of be a really good advantage for you leverage wise in wrestling, to be that low center of gravity and have that kind of leverage.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, props to not just that kid, but also obviously under great coaching that knows how to utilize that skill set and make that an advantage.
Absolutely. So like with Anthony Robles, he only has the one leg, so he's down, he's down on the mat on his hands and basically 3-point stance, whatever. And when he wrestled, if you're wrestling the guy and you're coming around to one side, you're going to grab a leg. Well, guess what? His leg's not there. And he also had a strength advantage, because he probably had the body of a 150-pound guy. But, with only the one leg, he weighed less. I think he wrestled the 125-pound weight class, and he used a lot of leverage, like you said. The awkwardness, the way that he wrestled, it was just awkward for guys, and they're on the mat the whole time. So it just was really he used all of that to his advantage, going undefeated as a senior, and he really dominated in his finals match too. And when he would get in the top position, he would be really tough on top, just because of that strength and leverage, and he could just whip his body around back and forth really, really easy to just put himself in the best position to win.
I gotta imagine you just coach that to being a lot of more upper arm strength than anything, because I figured, though, being in wrestling, you use a lot of your hips, your waist, your legs for powers for a lot of throws, so that has to almost be completely eliminated from your repertoire.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly right. I mean, I don't think he's throwing anyone, he's just getting down on the mat and wrestling from there. So, he's obviously at a disadvantage in some ways, but he's obviously, and it has an advantage in others. And most of it, I think, is just because it's something that you don't see. So you're not used to wrestling somebody like that. It's just a different dynamic, and it would take a long time to get used to, how to wrestle someone like that. But at the same time, to see them overcome that, I don't know. I just think it's great. And I think it's something that hopefully we see a lot more of.
I don't.
So,
go on, Ant.
Quinn's across from me. He had a question, so I was talking to him, and I had to take my headphones off to hear him. Gary, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this week. I know next week we'll definitely have the opportunity to talk about sectional results and dive into tournament time and where all these seedings lie, and it's going to be a fun one next week. But as always, we appreciate your time and your expertise in the subject, and we always look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Thank you, Gary.
What a great
resident wrestling expert. Gary
wrestling. We have to have another to stay alliterative. Resident wrestling. There's no word that I can think of with that, but to make it a tongue twister.
Resident wrestling.
I can't even say resident wrestling sometimes fast. So yeah, another word.
But we appreciate everything.
Yeah, another word on that would be in serious trouble.
Yeah. Honestly. No, Gary does a great job, and we appreciate all of his help too, kind of just guiding us and helping us through this wrestling season, as well as his knowledge of the sport is right up there too, and he helps us certainly week to week.
So now that we can take a little breath, we'll preview the rest of the show. If you missed the top of the show, we had Bernard Scott live on at noon. And then we will also have Josh Upshire, the head coach of Badger, on at 1 o'clock. He got a big win over Jackson Milton last night to advance in the tournament. And then at 1:45, we'll also be talking to Jeff Brink, the head coach of the Springfield boys basketball team. In between that, we'll also have Scotty come on for about a half an hour and try to stump Ty as he does every week. And we're going to have a fun Wednesday. We'll get through all of that and more. But first, we're going to take our first break of the day and be back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the four words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need, regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting. where you can experience new worlds in the arts and science, business, and education, and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Mr. Ty Bartello. I caught you up there because I said Mr. Popped in a second early. I'd get you.
Is what it is. Is what it is.
Ty, we have some finals to get to, recaps from last night, and tournament action in mostly boys basketball, but one girls game as well. Let's go through the finals for you, and we'll start with all the boys games. Start with Division II. Canfield got the win over Ravenna, 70-55 to move on. Canton South upset Girard in the Indians' house, 45-33. West Branch beat Niles, 67-30. Ursuline, no trouble at all, 73-52 against Hubbard. Struthers, they had a test, and we knew it would be one, but they passed it over Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, 65-58. Poland took care of Lakeview, 61-48. Streetsboro beat Salem by 4. Unfortunate for the Quakers. Their great season ends. And then Cheney beat Field, 79-32.
Pretty much everything that I think I caught, Anthony.
Did you say Canton South was going to beat Girard? You did, didn't you? You were the bad guy.
Might have been. That one's the only one I'm not sure of. I know I split with you on Streetsboro and Salem, and I took Streetsboro in that one. So I think I did pretty good in this round.
You know what? I already lost regular season pick'ems, and I can't redeem myself until baseball, softball. So I'm not ashamed of losing a game here and there to rock the banner if Ty's going to be the bad guy during tournament time.
Yeah, now Anthony's trying to get his consolation prize.
I'm getting in people's good graces,
Got to get into something because you're getting your ass whooped all season here on.
Whoa, language. It's the family program, Ty. Whoa. Jefferson in Division III got the win over Champion, 81-44. Southeast beat Waterloo, 76-54. Cardinal beat United, 58-49. Rootstown beat Columbiana, 51-42. Not a good day for our team so far in Division III, unfortunately. But Springfield made it all sunshine and roses as they beat Crestwood, 55-18. Garfield got the win, 58-43. Kirtland fell to Newton Falls, which just warms the heart of every person inside YSN when Kirtland loses at something, especially South Range fans. 57-50, Newton Falls gets the win. South Range avenged last year's district semifinal loss to Pontoon Valley. They beat the Lakers 59-52 to move on. Mooney beats Mineral Ridge 66-22 in Division III. Those are all the Division III scores from yesterday.
Yep, and I mean we got a whole another tree of the bracket filled out now, or branches, and now we get to start narrowing things down in each division and seeing how much closer we are to divisional champions now. As we look at, I don't know where Anthony's going. There he is.
No, I was reading the comments, and I don't know why someone's asking if I'm a doctor. Is Anthony a doctor? No, I am not.
Are you?
Yeah. My dad is, though, and a lot of his brothers are as well, but I am not. You will find Dr. Hartwig, so it won't take you long. But
sounds like a doctor name. The last name, a Hartwig, sounds like a doctor.
Me, myself, not a doctor.
Not yet. He's a doctor of sports.
EJ Folkley-Yoakley, the 690th, chiming in as well about East Liverpool, who got the 1-point win over Carrollton, 56-55. A lot closer than they want, but the old adage is close games make you better. So the Potters will definitely, take some momentum after winning a close game, and hopefully that'll prepare them for the other close games that they'll play during the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at it too, East Liverpool had. I mean, Carrollton's not a pushover team by any
No, they
means. They
went
play in
to
that BBC.
yeah. Carrollton's a good team, and they play that
They
in
play
that
in
tough EBC.
There's so many great teams that come out of that side too on the boys' side. So I mean, they get their teeth sharpened too. It's not a conference to be messed with. And yeah, they did a great job putting up a fight. But East Liverpool, sometimes, like you said, finding chinks in your armor just makes you stronger.
And then Beaver Local fell 79-67, also in Division 2.
Yeah, and I mean, this is unfortunate that that they did, but yeah, those teams down there, those West Virginia teams, there's some good ones that come out of there too, and on that border right there, and then they
They're
play
not in West
across the
Virginia, or else
street.
they wouldn't be in the OHSA tournament. But
No, there's a lot on the border, but they
on
do
that
play
border.
Beaver Local, East Liverpool. They play those West Virginia teams a lot throughout the season too, and they help sharpen those teeth too. There's some good teams right there.
We move into Division 4. Western Reserve had a great day, 79-59. They get the win over Maplewood. I want to thank one of our announcers, and it was Eric Hughes, who sent in some really good stat tidbits from this Western Reserve game. Gabe Platt had 17 points, so good to see him back on the floor. Remember, he missed a couple of games with an injury that he had during the Jackson Milton game. Hayden Fellows had 17 points as well. And then Dominic Riccardi had 16. So 3 players with 16 or more points for Western Reserve, and that's why you see their total get all the way almost 80, just 1 point away from 80, 79-59. They get the win over Maplewood.
Yeah, and Western Reserve does a good job this time of just getting everybody back healthy. And when you have Altier in that starting 5 and you have
I don't
Platt
know if
in that starting,
Altier's back, but I know Gabe Platt's back.
either one of them makes a difference too. And if Altier wasn't back and he's back now, I mean, that's huge. He's a shot blocking machine. He adds so much to that post. And I mean, he's a rebounder and he boxes out with the best too. So, I mean, getting that back, who knows? Western Reserve might be making a run.
Wellsville got the win 58-44 over McDonald. And then we have Sebring falling to Hartville Lake 71-29. Matthews beat Bloomfield 55-12. Valley Christian beat Southern 42-36. Heartland beat Lordstown 67-39. That is the first win in the tournament for Heartland in their program. So Josh Scott, congratulations. Johnny Buckets gets the big win for Heartland, and he had a big game as well. 67-39. They show Lordstown who really is in the Lord's town. Get it?
I thought you were going to pull out a much more mind-blowing stat, because you said Johnny Buckets had a big night and you said 67 immediately after that. I almost dropped my pen. I'm like,
67.
You put up 67 points to win the game. I'm like, are you kidding me? But if that doesn't speak to you on Johnny Buckets' talent level, the fact that I believed it too. You said it and it registered in my head that he scored 67. I'm like, wow, he's capable of doing that. I just couldn't believe he did it again. Another 50+ point game. But no, congratulations.
He already eclipsed 50 this season. So why not?
He's
Phenomenal 67? Brookfield got the win over Wyndham 82-73, the biggest offensive output of the night for Brookfield, as their offense has shown multiple times this year that they're able to get in that 80 point range.
Wyndham was racing them though for a bit too. 73 points of offense, not bad for the Bombers either. But Brookfield comes out on top this time with just a bit more offense going into the hangar.
And I believe that's going to set up a matchup between Heartland Christian and Brookfield in the next round of the tournament. And that will be a rematch of a game that happened a week ago where Brookfield got the win.
Yeah, and I mean, that'll be interesting to see if Heartland's got some new things in the book, or what to expect with that one.
Badger beat Jackson Milton 67-53. To move on, they will play Lisbon on Friday in Lisbon, and Aquinas beat Latonia 67-23 to round out our tournament finals for boys basketball.
A lot of finals around the area, and a lot of games are now set. We know the paths for a lot of these teams.
Yep, and then
the next step in the path.
We go to our one girls game of the night. It was where I was at in Perry. Howland fell to Maslin Jackson 64-30 to end the Tigers' really awesome season. Unfortunately for them, this happens in basketball, Ty. It was a game that just got away from them really quick. It was competitive, and then Jackson just went on a big run, and Howland couldn't really regather after that.
Yeah, I think it was the third quarter in particular too, where the Lady Polar Bears just made up all their points. Really, they made up the difference of the game in almost a quarter. And I mean, we say basketball is defined usually by runs. Every coach almost will tell you that it's a game of runs, and it's usually games are defined by runs. And sometimes it's 2 or 3, sometimes it's a small one at the end. And sometimes it's a big one in the middle of the game, too, that you point out, too. And that's the one you circle and say that's the difference in the ball game right there.
Yeah, there were 2 big runs for Maslin Jackson, one that got them separation and then one that put the game away. In the first quarter, it was 7-6. They were up 7-6. It was a back-and-forth game, real competitive. And then Maslin Jackson went on a 12-0 run and went up 19-6, and that was the score after 1 quarter of play. And then Howland actually won the second quarter. They cut it to 10 points at halftime. They won the second quarter 13-10. It was 29-19. They came out of the third, scored the first bucket of the second half with a shot in the third quarter to make it 29-21. And unfortunately for Howland, that was the only bucket from the floor that they would score in the whole third quarter, because the Polar Bears won the third quarter 30-3 and just put that game away in the third.
It's been a phenomenal season nonetheless, though, for Howland, and we enjoyed every step of the ride with it this first season on the basketball side. The Lady Tigers certainly have provided a lot of excitement for us all season. They've finished in the top 3, I believe, in the polls, too. So, I mean, looking at it overall, though, this was a great Federal League team in Maslin Jackson that they had to play, a Maslin Jackson team that I believe had 15 wins on the season, and playing in that tough Federal League, when you win 15 games, that's something serious too, because you're playing the best of the best. And not to mention Division I's a meat grinder. And for as good as Howland was, they were top 3 in our rankings too. They play in Division I, and I believe they were 13th in Division I, 13th seeded. That just shows you how strong that division is too, top to bottom. Very hard to get out of Division I. Lady Tigers did a great job though.
Our teams were 13, 14, 15, and then Boardman was down there a little bit. But Howland, Louisville, and when Howland, Canfield, Louisville, 13, 14, 15, if I'm not mistaken. So all those teams clustered in the middle. And for the Tigers, one of the positives, Taylor Lawrence played a really good game last night, finished with 11, worked her butt off, scored a lot of points in the first half to keep them in the game. So props to her for having a really good night. Pompelia, everyone's going to know to shut her down, and unfortunately Jackson's defense double-teamed her most of the night, so she wasn't able to get off and running. Masuti had 7 for him. So, like you said, just to mirror what you said, a great season for Howland. We appreciate being along for the ride, and we look forward to continuing to be along for the ride as their program continues to build in years to come.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be fun always in that AAC, and I can't wait till the next coming years to see what the Lady Tigers do, and I can't wait to be continuing the coverage of Howland sports well into the next season as well.
Yeah, and then we're going to have one more first, because we're going to have our first season of softball, baseball with Howland coverage.
Exactly what I was saying, too, is
right around the corner.
We carry it right into softball, baseball, and if there's anything I know about Howland is that they always have some pretty good baseball teams too. And I would think that softball's the same, but I know baseball is usually pretty real in Howland.
And not to look too far ahead, because their boys basketball team is still playing, and they still have a job to do in Division II. They're still alive in the tournament, so they'll be playing Friday. And their boys basketball team not done yet. They've given us a heck of a ride as well. Anthony Masuti, one of the more fun players to watch in the area, period.
I mean, the dude is just a lethal scorer in so many ways. I mean, what he could do from at all spots of the floor is a fun time to watch too. And you've even tagged him as one of the best in the area too, in the county. The best too, if I'm not correct.
You think about what he's doing as a junior with his career numbers, like he's hit 95 threes and counting, because they fed that milestone at 95. But he missed a whole year last year with a torn ACL. So he's doing all that with really missing one season of basketball.
Yep, he's a great player too. I'm excited to see what he could continue to do though. But yeah, Howland's still alive in it, and we're excited to see what the Tigers can do with their run.
All you have to do is just imagine what he would do with all 3 years of basketball under his belt, what those career numbers would be.
I mean, it would be. Yeah.
He'd probably own every career record in Howland. And he might next year too, because he's got a third year next year and is his senior, and hope knock on wood he stays healthy and he's able to go and have a complete senior season next year as well.
Should be fun too. We're excited for it.
And then his sister Alyssa is right below him as a sophomore going into her junior year, and she's gonna make a vie for a lot of career records at Howland as well.
Masucci's will take care of the Tigers program for next year.
Absolutely, they
Both
will, and both. You're right, both of them will. Now, for Alyssa, she's going to kind of be turning into that player that everyone circles that says we have to stop her to win this game. Right now, it's Pompili. Obviously, she'll graduate. So next year is going to be all about defenses focusing on Masuti.
Yeah, and I mean, I think she's up for the challenge too. I mean, she's a phenomenal athlete in multiple sports as well too. So she's a competitor. She's an athlete. So I think she's going to be able to rise to that challenge.
Your player profile with her was one of the best player profiles we've had this year. I mean, such a phenomenal kid and so well spoken for a sophomore, and got such a great future ahead of her. I mean, if you want to hear it, you can go to ysnlive.com and it's definitely on the site. It's also on our YouTube page and everything like that. So make sure to listen to it. But I thought her interview was just fantastic.
Yeah, and you know what? Being one of the announcers, part of this AAC is getting the opportunity to see her for the next couple of years is going to be truly a fun and tremendous honor to be able to do so too. And I'm excited to see what Howland can continue to do on that girls' side for basketball too, because I think this conference next year, I think Fitch is going to be better. I think Boardman's going to be better. I think Canfield's going to have to be figuring a couple things out with Howland, but I don't count either of those teams out. And Harding's always looming as a good team too. That's not in our coverage map, but you have to respect the Raiders and the Lady Raiders. So AAC basketball next season, it's going to be exciting too. Those conference games will be fun to watch.
We thank you for your kind words in the comments section.
Yes, we love your support too. We love doing what we do.
Always good to see some words of encouragement pop up.
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely enjoy it too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I look forward to talking to this local sports all day, every day. So I couldn't ask for anything better to do.
Sorry, we're going to take another break, and then when we get back, we'll be getting ready for Josh Upshire of the Badger boys basketball team.
Second time
at 1:00, and we'll have him after this break on ysnlive.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-res Futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
a severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell, and we are going to be joined here by Badger Boys head coach Josh Upshire as I let him in for the green room. Josh, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hey guys, how are you today?
We're doing great. Not as great as you, because you just got a big tournament win last night, so you got to be flying high today.
Yeah, today's a good day, even reflecting upon last night's game. You know, watching some film from last night, seeing the energy in the crowd and seeing how our team came back from a nice deficit last night and pulled one out.
Coach, we talked a little bit before the season, too, about this team going into this year. And since we get a chance now, full regular season, tournament game now under our belt, where do you think expectation to reality, the bar has been set? And do you think you met that bar? You think you've exceeded it? Or where do you think the team is from those expectations at the beginning of the season?
You know, we started off 6-3. We were on a nice roll there. We played pretty competitive with some good teams. We played pretty competitive with Camel early in the season. And then we had that key injury to Carter Burnett, our 6'6" guard forward there. So, you know, we kind of lost some games there down the stretch that, you know, if he was healthy, we may have pulled those out. We'll never know at this point. But I think right now with him coming back over the last week or so, that, you know, we're on a nice roll right now. He had a phenomenal game last night, 13 points, 16 rebounds. Monsters dunked to cap it off last night. So I think we're trending in the right way. I know it's weird to say that now that you're in tournaments, but this is the time of the year. I told our guys we want to be peaking. We want to be playing at our best. So I think that we're playing pretty well right now.
You know, you said it. You want to be playing your best in February, not in October or November. So talk about some of the growth points you've seen from this team and how much you've really seen them grow from the start of the season to now and how proud you are of that growth.
You know, the good thing is and it's not, I can't say a good thing with Carter going down, but when Carter went down, we had to throw some guys in the fire who, if he wasn't injured, we may not have, you know, had the opportunity for them to play. So we had the opportunity to play some younger guys and they got that experience that they may not have otherwise. You know, they had some huge games. We had Nick Barr step in for us, who's a sophomore, and knock down some shots in some key games. Bryce Gross has stepped up and played well. He's only a sophomore as well. We had Heath Stanhope step up. We had a game right after Carter broke his arm, actually, up at Fairport, and Heath had 5 or 6 threes, I mean, from NBA range. So actually, when we played up at Rocket Mortgage, he was shooting from well beyond the NBA three-point line. So, you know, to see the growth of the younger guys who may not have had an opportunity to play, to be able to step in and play their roles and not do too much and get them ready not only for the postseason, but leading into next season as well.
Coach, just talking about the fact that Carter Burnett gets to come back now towards the end of the season, how much of an advantage do you think that plays into your team now going into this tournament run? In other words, too, how tough do you think he is for other teams to try to circle in and guard, and what makes him so tough to defend on this team?
It's hard to teach size and athleticism, and Carter has them both. 6'6" guard that can jump out of the gym, rebounds well. He averaged 15.5 rebounds when he did play this year. As I said, he had 16 last night. So he brings that presence to the floor where, you know, you gotta watch him. You gotta know where he is on the floor because he can take off at any point and rebound the basketball. You know, it'd be hard to tell where he'd be if he didn't break his arm because, like I said, he was having a phenomenal season before the broken arm, and he honestly picked it up right where he left off when he came back. He's like I said, he came back senior night against Fairport and started the game off with a dunk, and that's what he brings to our team. This athleticism that you don't see in Division IV basketball. We go 6'5", 6'6", 6'6" at times if we need to. So you don't see that in Division IV basketball.
You opened this interview by talking about the energy that you saw from the crowd last night. Go into what it has meant to you and this team to bring back the Badger community and welcome them back in this gym, and what a boost they've given you this year.
From playing back in, I graduated from Badger in 2002, so I've always had that experience of playing in front of crowds and to come back and see the crowd come back with us and the community support us and give back to us is a good thing to see. These young men in 2018, 2019, when we went to the district championship, you try to explain to kids what's going to happen. In 2002, we went to the district championship against JFK, and you try to explain to the kids what's going to happen when they walk into the gym and the crowd's already going to be there and they're going to be giving you a standing ovation and things like that. But it just doesn't compare to when you actually see it. And, you're in awe of the crowd and the energy that they do bring. And in times where you need them to step up for you, and they do. Like I said, it was nice last night for them to be able to give the crowd a good game to cheer for and be loud for. And we hope to do it again on Friday at Lisbon. So we're talking about taking kids down on a spirit bus and taking a nice crowd down. So
gotta have the spirit bus. I mean,
yes, sir.
Nothing better than that experience.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me a little bit now about just with the younger guys on the team. I mean, you mentioned guys having to step up too. A lot of coaches will say that that's a huge advantage. The deeper you are going into tournaments, especially for D4, the more helpful that is too, especially with varsity level talent. What are some of these younger guys that have stepped up, and some of these guys, role players maybe, or guys down the stretch where they're going to key in on Carter? Who are these other guys that you've seen step up recently down the stretch?
With us, when Carter went down and we started to play more guys, I'm not afraid to go 8, 9, 10 deep at times, depending on the situation and the players that we need. There are games where we may finish with Brad Hamilton, who's a junior, Bryce Gross, who's a sophomore, Cole Burnett, who's a 6'6" junior, with Jack, and then Carter on the floor. But then there are games last night where we have Brad and Jack and Bryce on the floor, and Carter and Jeff Logan, who's our other big post player, is a senior. But it just depends on the situation and what we need on the floor. When we need stops, we have guys on the floor who are able to do that. If we need guards on the floor who are able to handle the basketball, we have guys who can do that. If we need a bigger lineup on the floor to rebound the basketball, we can insert guys there. So guys are doing a great job of playing their role and coming in and accepting it. And it makes it a lot easier for me and my coaching staff to be able to do things like that.
You got Lisbon next. You travel to the Blue Devils, and this is a team in Lisbon that has some really quality wins against some really good teams. Preview this game, what you've kind of seen from the Blue Devils, and what challenges you think they present, and what you guys are going to have to do to win this game.
Yeah, they have good guard play, really good guard play, and we'll have to shut them down. They have the bigger Daly kid who's a good post player for them. Then we're going to focus on him a little bit, preparing for a 2-3 zone. I've seen a lot of that in film. Be ready to move the ball, and hopefully our size takes advantage. I've not seen them in person other than they were at our game last night, but I haven't seen them in person. Not really sure how much size they have other than the Daly kids. So I'm just, hoping our size takes advantage. And we didn't shoot the ball particularly well last night, not to what we're used to. We were only 5 of 20 from the 3-point line last night. So, we're wanting to be a little bit better there from the 3-point line. Focus on defense. We gave up 28 in the first half, I think, and played a lot better in the second half. So we're gonna continue to focus on defense and switch it up and do different things and do what's necessary to win. We're gonna focus on defense here today and tomorrow, and we get enough shots up throughout the week that I think we'll be fine there. But we're gonna take the next couple of days and focus on defense and what we have to do to shut them down. So,
and I am sure you see a lot of zone defenses going up against you guys, because I don't think a lot of people in Division 4 can match up with you guys man to man and with the size that you bring. So I'm sure you're going to be no stranger to a zone defense if Lisbon throws one at you.
For sure.
I gotta figure too. What is it these Burnett's have down there in Kinsman, Ohio? Is it? Does Coach Upshire have the secret to have two Burnett kids that are both over 6'5"? I mean, what is happening going on in that?
It's crazy, and it's so funny because I always say every year it's one of those. Well, we aren't going to have much size next year, and then somebody has a growth spurt. We have an 8th grader who's about 6'1", 6'2" right now. That's has the potential to play for us next year, and so even though I say we may not have size next year, we may have more size next year. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
I think Coach has one of those water bottles from Space Jam that says MJ's secret stuff. And
just give it all.
Yep.
Everyone gets it. I mean, Coach, just talk about that though, as just extending that question, because we say it all the time, and a lot of coaches will say it. I mean, you could teach these kids everything, but in basketball, you can't teach height. How much does it just help as a coach when you have these height advantages too, and you have the height advantage going into almost all your games? I figure.
Yeah, two things are always key as a basketball coach that I say. You don't always having the biggest team doesn't necessarily mean anything. I know when I was coaching at Ursuline, we had a lineup that was, I think our entire lineup, but our starting point guard was over 6'2", and we played a team, Newcastle, who came in and their tallest player might have been 6'2", and we're watching them warm up, and we're thinking, okay, this game's going to be pretty easy with our size, but we didn't have the guards to get it to our big guys, so we struggled, but. It's always good to have size as long as you have good guards who can get it down the floor and get it to them. That's the main key. If you don't have those guards that can get them the ball, then you can have all the size in the world. But if you don't have guards that can get them the ball, you're going to struggle. But also having the best player on the floor every night is a good thing too. So, I'm a little biased and think that a lot of times I do have the best player on the floor, and we'll see.
Thing is, usually you guys can go out and prove that sentiment as well. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I know your day is stacked full of busyness, and you actually have to go back to class at 1:20, but we appreciate you cutting out some time for us. We love talking to you. Good luck on Friday, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thanks, guys. If I can just give a shout out real quick. I don't know if anybody saw my Facebook post last night, but a huge kudos to Josh Scott and the Heartland Christian Lions on their first ever OHSAA tournament win last night. The tremendous job that Josh is doing over there at Heartland Christian is noteworthy, and I hope a lot of people start watching what that program's doing. He's taking that program and turning it around, and he's doing a phenomenal job. I appreciate what he does not only for the game but for the players and in the community as well. So huge shout out to Josh Scott and the Heartland Christian Lions.
I hope a lot of people go back and watch Badgers game against Heartland Christian if you want a good old classic basketball game too. That was a phenomenal one.
That was good.
Yeah, Coach, and to reiterate that in a little bit, soon. I'm going to say soon because I don't know the timeline, but we're releasing a Level Up episode with Josh Scott being featured in the Heartland Christian basketball being featured. And if you didn't have respect for Josh Scott before, when you see that video and you kind of get him mic'd up on the sidelines, you're going to have respect for him now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Coach, thank you again for joining us.
Right,
we'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Josh Upshire, the head coach of the Badger Braves. And I love the ending with just seeing mutual respect among coaches. This coaching community is so strong in the area. A lot of these coaches are great friends with each other, and we've seen that throughout the spectrum of whether it be on the girls' side or the boys' side. I think only a coach can understand what a coach goes through, and you have that mutual respect for the guys that are doing what you're doing in other programs.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And I mean, just great to see that mutual respect, and congratulations to both Josh Scott and Coach Upshire as well.
All right, Ty, you know what time it is, and you know who's rolling into the studio.
No, boy.
Right now. You know it. I'm gonna pop it up as he comes in, and we'll play that Imperial March as Scotty comes sashaying in. Bum 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 bum. Put that mask on him like big.
Yeah,
the little whistle that I can't do, and then Darth Vader himself, Scotty Minter, coming into the studio hot. Scotty, thank you so much for your time today. I know you put in a big hour already, pre-recording power hour for today, so putting in the work today, man.
Yeah. I like it though. DJ said we might, it might become a thing. We might, knock out the power out early. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I like when I'm working. It keeps me out of trouble. So.
Yeah, because you can get in trouble so easily.
Yeah, for sure.
We know Scotty here. Scotty's always out there getting into some trouble. You're always mischievous, Scotty.
Mixing it up.
I'm just ready to go. And as a teaser, I will say as a teaser today, my first couple questions for Ty, I think they're going to be layups. But my finale, because
I hope you took our advice, because me and Super Dave had some advice for you last week.
Yeah, and I feel like I've exhausted myself, trying to come up with, just stump the guy. But I went with just some ones that I think you'll get easily, but the back end of it, I'm not so sure, man. I think I got some ones that might just stump you today.
I think he's hustling you, Ty. I think he's just trying to get you into a false sense of security. He's gonna come in. He's gonna come in real quick. Scotty, before we get to that, you always bring great topics to the table. Before we get into the trivia question, what have you brought today that you want to talk to us about?
Yeah, well, I kind of want to talk about from your guys' perspective, you and Ty. I saw your interview on a Monday, I believe it was, with the Lady Rockets head coach.
Coach Modelsky.
Yeah.
Shout
Lisa
out.
Modelsky. Shout out to her. And I just wanted to know from you guys, because obviously when you're doing an interview, you get the persons that's, most up close with the team and around them every day. You get their thoughts on the season that has been. But I wanted to know for you guys, what's the most impressive thing about Louisville that they've done so far in tournament time that maybe is unexpected, or you didn't see it as much in the regular season? Anthony, I guess you can lead off and take it.
I'll tell you, when we went over the stats from Louisville, I think the most impressive part, and probably the reason why they were able to beat Badger in double overtime, they had balance. Like, they had 4 girls in double figures. If they score like that and people can't key in on one shooter, and it was all from the 3-point line, they had all 4 of those players in double figures had 3-pointers. They had 8 as a team. When you have balance like that, it's hard to defend. I don't care who you are. You have 4 girls that are scoring at double figures. If you can put that on the table, it's going to be hard for anyone to beat you. So I think that was the most impressive thing. If they can keep their balance and keep Prosick and Moore and Lilio and Coppola all scoring, and then maybe throw in some more, then they're going to be just fine. I think they have a good shot to go up there and upset Bristol if they play like that. Bristol's a good team, but don't forget, this is a Bristol girls program that is kind of in this new spot. One of their best, I believe their best season in program history. Usually it's the boys carrying Bristol. The boys team is really rocking in that program. But this year, the girls team is a 1 seed in Division 4. They're having the season of their lives. But this atmosphere, this experience is kind of new to them. as it is to Louisville. I think it's Louisville's first sectional championship since 2012, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely the first that they've had with Coach Modelski being the head coach. So, it's a new spot for both teams, and I think it's just going to come down to who can handle the adversity of being under the lights and who can come up with big games. But if Louisville has balance like they did against Badger, then Bristol better watch out.
And the thing working in Louisville's favor, Anthony, I think any sport you talk about, it's always easier when you're the one doing the hunting. But when you're now, in my opinion, all the pressure is on Bristol here.
Absolutely.
And the Rockets are playing with house money.
Yeah, all the pressure's on Bristol if I don't know their coach, I have no idea, but if they're not coached greatly, and you can fall into that trap of putting too much pressure on yourself, which definitely happens, especially in youth sports. But Louisville can afford to be the more aggressive team, because what do they got to lose? I mean, no one expected them to be here in the first place. So if they lose this game, it's like, oh, okay, we still had a great season. But if they win this game, they have everything to gain from winning this game and nothing to lose. So I think they're going to throw everything they possibly can at Bristol, whether it be switching up defenses, maybe throwing in some new plays, some quote unquote gadget plays in basketball that you can get going, and they're going to try to get their shooters open, and hopefully they can knock down those shots.
And Ty, you guys have talked a lot now about the Rockets and their versatile attack, and how it's not a one person putting on a show, but Anthony went through the box score and all the threes they hit, and in their last time they were able to show the world what they can do, show their talents. But from your point of view, Ty, is there anything else that has really impressed you about this Rockets team?
Scotty, before Ty answers, you got a shout out from Joe Roth in the comments section there. So he wants to say, you're great, and he hopes you're good. So,
oh, thank you, sir.
For me, I'm going to say for Louisville, I'm going to give them the word resiliency is the thing that's impressed me most about them. I think Louisville is a team that I don't think many of us thought had that type of resiliency to withstand double overtime, being up by 16, having the heartbreak of them coming back into that game and still being able to withstand that and get that victory. Nobody really thought the Lady Rockets were going to be here, but the Lady Rockets thought they were going to be in this spot. The entire team was confident in winning that game. And you're right, with Bristol is the one with everything to lose. And if you're playing in that situation where you're kind of playing at that top, you can get into that situation where you start playing not to lose instead of playing to win. Louisville's playing to win right now. They played to win last time, and they're playing to win right now. And we talked about Madden. That's one of his famous quotes, is play to win too. And that's the important thing with any game too, any sport. You play to win. And that's exactly what I'm seeing from Louisville right now. They're sharing the ball. They're playing basketball as it's intended to be, getting balanced scoring. And they're saying, hey, we might not have someone that could drop 30 on your head every night, but we have multiple girls that could fill in the box score. And by way of a team, we'll get there one way or another. And that confidence that they have for being such a young team is really what's impressive to me. So as Anthony will go on like the physical X's and O's side, I agree that's impressive. I'm going to credit the mental side and the maturity side of the Louisville Lady Rockets right now. I think that's been very impressive.
Remember, Ty, at the beginning of the season when we were talking about this MVA Scarlet tier, Louisville was one of those teams that we said, watch out for Louisville because they're returning everybody. They have all the experience in the world. They're confident. And we're finally starting to see the Louisville team that we really thought we'd see all season. And we thought that could be competing for an MVAC title. So now we're starting to see that team. And that's scary because, the preseason expectations for Louisville were pretty high.
And
I'm saying it right now too. Don't let Louisville hit a couple threes early in that Bristol game, because that might just make the whole train fall off the tracks for Bristol if that's the case. If they start hitting threes early, that could be literally what sends it off the tracks.
And speaking kind of on that, we all know when it comes down to it that players win games more than, and it's no disrespect to coaches, but when it comes down to players, they win the games for you. But with that being said, in your interview you guys did with Lisa Moldavsky the other day, she seemed to have a very calm demeanor and seemed like the type of coach that, stays pretty even keel, doesn't get too high or too low. So how much credit do you guys give to her with the way she's run that program? If you had to put like a percentage on it.
What I love about Coach Moldavsky, and if you've ever watched a Louisville game in person, you'll know what I'm talking about. She can go from being that even kill person that the team needs, like you said, but when her team needs the energy boost or they're feeling it, like she is the first person to get in there with them. I mean, if you saw their post-game celebration in the locker room that they posted, Coach Moldavsky was dancing with them, like right in the frame, like jumped right into the camera and started dancing with them. So Coach Moldavsky does a great job of knowing when that energy is needed and when she needs to kind of be energetic and be that spark plug for her team, but also knowing when she has to keep it even keel. There are probably many times in that game where she had to switch from both because, you have a 16-point lead. You're feeling good about yourselves, but then you have to stay even because Badger comes all the way back, ties it. You got to go to overtime and then got to go to double overtime. But then the elation when that final buzzer went off and Louisville won. I mean, you saw their students storm the floor, and it wasn't even their own floor. They did that on an opposing team's floor. It was awesome. So she definitely brings the energy. I think that's the most impressive thing to me about Coach Moldavsky.
And then, go ahead, Ty.
For me, real quick, I'll just say that as far as Coach Gilbert, real quick, I'm going to tie into Garfield's Coach Gilbert. What he said about it, too, about building a program is you need that consistency. You can't build a program in just a year or two. You need to build it throughout a tenure, too. And I think what I love about Coach Moldavsky is that she's stayed the course. She's helped build this program. I contribute a decent amount of this success to her, too, because it's her coaching. It's her wanting to keep that program consistent year in and year out. And that's what helps build these programs and help these girls start to actually get better at the sport. So I credit Coach Moldavsky a huge part in just staying the course and helping build this program each and every season.
All right, Scotty, this conversation is great. I almost want to keep it going, but I do have to kind of give you the trivia time. If you want to take your trivia time, you got about, I don't know, I'll give you 13 minutes.
Okay. Well, let's get right into it because I want to see if I could get you by the end of the show. I kind of accepted the fact that I'm not going to totally just throw a knockout punch, but it could be a slow death for you today, Ty. Slowly chip away at the Giants.
I believe the score is 79-30, Ty, with the overall lead.
Yeah, it hasn't been pretty for me the last couple weeks.
Stay in striking distance. Stay in striking distance, Scotty. That's all you have to do.
These questions all have to do with the NBA All-Star game. I got some help from Super Dave, so again, we're gonna have.
Oh, geez, we're gonna have to fact check these ones, Ty.
Yeah, but starting off today, Ty, I want to know who was the youngest as well as the oldest NBA player to start an All-Star game. And what ages were they?
So Ty,
Scotty,
3 points.
On questions as he's thinking of them off the top of his head. I think the youngest to start was Kobe Bryant in 98. He was 19 years old. And I think the oldest one, I want to say it was Nat Clifton. and I think he might have been. Well, no, I don't think so. The oldest one's tripping me up. I'm firm on the youngest one being Kobe in '98 at 19. The oldest. You know what? It might have been Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I think it was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was. Oh, was he 40, 42? When did he retire? Retired in. Well, he won that first one against the Pistons. He was 30. 41 is what I'll say Kareem was when he was in the All-Star game.
Uh-oh. We're going to have to do some fact-checking here because Super Day has it as his airness, Michael Jordan in 2003 at the age of 39.
Okay, I'll dive in.
Double check on it because I know Kareem made it in the 88-89 season and he was over 40. I know he was over 40. He might not have been 41.
Did he start? Like, he made the All-Star game, but did he start? I think that's the...
Yeah, that's the question.
All right. I'm looking it up, Scotty. You go to your next question.
Okay, the second question, and this also has to do, ties in MJ and his career. I want to know from you, Ty, who gave up his starting spot to MJ and Michael Jordan in the 2003 All-Star game.
Oh, these two questions are very linked to each other.
Yeah.
By the way, I confirmed it. It is Michael Jordan. So, Ty, you don't get the point for that. Scotty just gets 2 points because you got the player wrong and the age wrong. So Scotty goes 2 for 2. But it's
I got the youngest one.
It's 81 to 32.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
Baby steps.
I know. I knew Kobe was right. It was Vince Carter, by the way, who gave it up for MJ.
It's absolutely Vince Carter, yeah.
That is correct.
It's actually in the paragraph that talks about Michael Jordan being the oldest NBA All-Star. So you were asking that as I was reading it.
Okay. And then the last one on the NBA All-Star game, Ty, I want to know what conference has won the most NBA All-Star games and what is the all-time record of the conferences as far as wins go.
So you want me to go from when we had East versus West and not this pick teams?
Yeah, not
stuff.
Team Durant, Team
Okay.
LeBron.
Okay. Because I was like, I don't know how to determine conference wins in those ones, Scotty.
This is just East and West. How many wins do they have? What's the head-to-head all-time?
So this is what 3 points on the line because one, Scotty wants to know who's winning the series or who won the series really because it's over, and then what both win totals were. And I have them, so I'll be able to fact check.
I think it was the East Conference. I think holds the all-time lead. And when was the conference games abolished? Because then I could just go back from when the first one was. I say there's probably, is it 65 or 66 All-Star games they played before? Might be 66. What years? The West would have won a lot of these later years. The East would have won a lot in the 90s with MJ. Before that, Celtics. I think the all-time record Well, if the East has 37 wins, play 65,
Correct.
so it's either 28 or 29 for the West, and I'm gonna say 29 because I think there was 66 East versus West All-Star games.
You nailed all three of them.
Yeah, you are not human.
I don't think he is.
He's like hitting a piece of iron.
All right, Scotty, you got
Ivan Drago would say.
you got 5 minutes left for your last question.
Okay, 5 minutes.
Make it a good one.
Here we go. In honor of wrestling coming to the Cavelli Center, I believe it is next week it comes. I want to know from you, Ty, as we close with the trivia part of Running Point for today, I want to know who is the only WWE superstar who has seized the Intercontinental Championship 8 times. Again, who is the only WWE superstar who has seized the Intercontinental Championship 8 times?
I don't know, Scotty. You know, I'm a huge professional wrestling fan. Like, it's the Miz, and I think the Miz has 8, and I think behind that is Jericho. I believe. Well, actually, hold on. Wait. Before I lock that in, let me double check. Let me double think.
What are you double checking in your mind? This photographic.
I think it was the Miz has 8 because I think Jericho had more at 9, but I think the Miz might have 8. If it's 8 reigns, I think it was the Miz.
See, I don't know. It's telling me here that it was Chris Jericho 8 times.
I think Jericho might have had it more, unless the Miz had it more. But it's either the Miz or Chris Jericho. The Miz, I think, had it 8 reigns.
Anthony's fact checking. I did not know you were a huge wrestling fan. Next week, I got more up my sleeve.
You're getting more sadistic with it, Scotty. I like the questions, though. The All-Star questions were good. You got me on that one because I did not know the oldest to start was MJ. I really thought Kareem started back when he was 40. I know he played in it. I know I think he's the oldest to play in the All-Star game, though. I think he does hold that title.
Yeah, I know he played in it too, from what I remember, but I guess he didn't start in the game.
Because the question you asked me with WWE confused me, though, because you said 8 reigns, and I'm pretty sure The Miz has 8, but Chris Jericho has the most, I'm pretty sure. And it's either 9 or 10 that he has.
Chris Jericho has the most Intercontinental titles in WWE.
Did he have 8, though? Because that's the number I was getting caught up on, was the 8 reigns.
That's what it says. This is the website of WWE Trivia.
I like the
See,
question.
Scotty, what you
Scott.
should ask is who won the first ever WWE Intercontinental Championship.
Oh yeah.
See if Ty knows like pre-1985 WWE history. You know it, Ty? We'll count it if you get it.
Who won the first ever WWE Intercontinental Championship?
Yep.
That was Pat Patterson.
Give me the year.
Pat Patterson won it in 79 is when I think the Intercontinental Championship was created. You won't stump me on that. I don't think you will. You might be able to tie me up on numbers like that, but like I think it was more than 8 reigns for Jericho. But I know the Miz had 8.
Yeah, you're still damn good. At least I got you on the one today. I got you, man. I'm creeping slowly. I still got a pulse.
Tony Kugris over here
I'm not a
talking about
doctor.
Anthony being a doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
1 hour
People
running
spread
point.
rumors.
Anthony's got his degree.
My medical knowledge comes from watching House. That's about it.
You're not a doctor, but you did stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
That is a perfect way to leave this segment, Scotty, with that one-liner. Great job. Scotty, we thank you for joining us today. Like you do always, you bring great content to our show. We can't wait to have you on again next week, hopefully with some more trivia questions.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. And Ty, I'm already saying it as a teaser. This is full purse will be the most complex questions next week I've ever come up with. Full
I'm ready for him, Scotty, and I'm excited.
The entire week.
We're gonna replay this, and you better walk the walk if you're gonna talk the talk.
Oh yeah, I'm bringing it. Don't worry.
Like I want like an 8-part question that asks him about like someone's cousin that who is Aaron Rodgers' cousin that goes to 3 of the Packers games every season, who also has a birthmark on his right foot.
Yeah, just get real convoluted with it.
All right, Scotty, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys. My pleasure.
See, Dan, you're lucky that I don't run the trivia thing because I would get really sadistic, like super.
I'm sure you would.
I'd
You
be
make
asking-
me have to study all kinds of unnecessary stuff.
One,
the
I'd be
night
asking you
before.
women's sports questions because Scotty hasn't tapped that yet, and I don't know how much you know about the WNBA history or softball history or women's soccer history.
WNBA, I could definitely, I think, navigate my way through.
Rockers. I felt like I got one Cleveland Rockers in there.
Did he get you a Cleveland Rockers? He wants to know if you got him on a Cleveland Rockers.
You might have given me a Cleveland Rockers one, honestly. I don't remember all the questions, though. I mean, I can't recall every question he's
we
answered.
got what it's 84 to 32, so that's over 100 questions. So
I could remember the answers to questions. I can't remember the questions themselves, though, too. No, I mean, he's asked me a pretty wide range, too. He's getting a lot more. He's getting more sadistic with them, too. He's getting deeper into it. Honestly, what he's doing right now, what Scotty's doing right now is I'm more impressed.
We don't take calls anymore.
I'm just more or less impressed with Scotty coming up with new questions every week and coming up with different ones.
He gets some sketchy help from Super Dave.
He gets some sketchy help, that's true, but it's hard to come up with questions. It's hard to come up with questions. I don't know where Super Dave's getting his information from.
From a documentary he watched last night.
Yeah. It's like a stowed away like HBO documentary from like 2002 that's like under his cabinets
about who's hit home runs in the left field and the upper deck of left field at Yankee Stadium.
Useless Yankee Facts, the documentary from 2002 or something.
There was no way to fact check that, and I was like, Ty, I feel bad, but
Tito Santana, Tony Kugris coming in with the Tito Santana.
Whoa.
Just watching the Macho Man take on Tito Santana on the WWE Peacock on there.
My extent of WWE wrestling goes to Roman Reigns, who is a former Georgia Tech football player.
Yeah, of course it does. I knew you were gonna say that as soon as you.
That's all I get. So he played defensive end for Georgia Tech.
And that's where Anthony's fandom is.
That's where my fandom is.
If you're from Georgia Tech, that's you. That's Anthony.
No Roman Reigns.
You get him on. It's just like Andrew with Georgia Tech, former Georgia Tech. You don't interview him as what he is now. He's
we
much
just want to
more
talk football.
He's much more famous for being a pro wrestler. Like, you were a defensive end at Georgia Tech. Let's talk
about
Georgia
Coach
Tech.
Staley and what it was like being under him, and and being teammates with Calvin Johnson.
Talk about how amazing it is to play for Georgia Tech and why.
Talk about why we're the best program in the country, and there's no question about it.
I tell you about something that's a good program. Talk about the Springfield Tigers. That's a good program too. You want to talk about playing for a great program? Jeff Brink and his boys, another 20-win season for the Tigers now.
Perfect timing because he just popped into the green room, Ty. Perfect segue. That's a professional segue right there. You're starting to get the hang of this. Jeff Brink entering the studio. Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Coach, I mean, obviously now with the postseason underway, you guys have a full regular season under your belt. You ran, I think, 21 in a row to start the season. Talk to me about expectation to reality base. Where was this team bar at? Did you meet it? Did you exceed it? Where do you think you are from expectations?
I think anytime you come into a season, you try to set short-term goals. You want to get better at some of the little things. You want to be a better rebounding team. You want to be a better ball handling team. You want to be better at the free throw line, better execution of your sets and your offense and things like that. And I think that sometimes if you can achieve the short-term goals, it helps you to achieve some of the long-term goals. And when you look at the big picture, I think we knew we had a talented team. I mean, they went to the regionals last year. Coach French and his staff did an unbelievable job. They've been very successful. If you look at our program, historically, it's been a traditional power in the Mahoning Valley. So it's coming in. We knew we had some talent. You had returned 3 starters from last year that were very good players. So the talent was there, and we just had to get some guys in and hopefully get them a chance to learn what we wanted them to do, what our expectations were. But we felt we could compete for the league and have a good shot. And we knew Lowville was going to be a great team. And again, we had to play them early in the year, which I think was a little tough for us, catching them right off of the football season where we had not really practiced much. But, we feel fortunate to have won the league and to be able to run the table in the league. Our non-league schedule was extremely challenging. A multitude of Division II schools. Then you had through in a couple good Division III powerhouses. And it was a challenge, but I think that's how you get tournament ready. You have to play better teams. And for us, I think it was a benefit to be able to play, that difficult non-league schedule, to trying to get ready for the tournament play.
Coach, I know no one ever wants to lose. You never root for a loss, but the last game of the regular season, Yoda LeBray, you fall in a really close game. Some coaches say that losing late in the season like that can refocus the team and re-engage them. Do you kind of see that as a positive, and something you can learn from that is realizing that if you don't play your A game or if you don't show up, teams can beat you, and being able to share that lesson with a loss to end the regular season?
Absolutely. When you look at it and say, is it frustrating, difficult to have a perfect season go awry and a 1-point loss on the last game of the season? Absolutely. That's a tough way to go out. On the fortunate side of that is it's a learning experience. So we broke it down and we spent a lot of time over the last week going through what are some of the little things that we need to get better at that we've kind of lost sight of, in terms of you get away with winning games. Maybe you're not having the attention to detail that you need. And I think sometimes a loss brings that into perspective to be able to say, hey, we have to be good at these things for our team to be successful. We don't have the biggest team in the world. We don't have a ton of depth. So for us, we have to be very successful at everything we do in terms of execution. And that's something that we really put a high priority on.
We know some of the best teams in the area. The things that it's easy to get complacent when you start getting wins all the time too, and it's easy not to keep striving to get better. But what are you doing with the team too, and what do you think some of the things for the team that they could shore up here going into the tournaments too?
One of the things when you look at our team, we're blessed with great senior leadership, and when you have people like Bo Brungard and Adam Wary and Alex Rothwell, Jake Joyce, I mean. Bo Brungard is as competitive a player as I've ever coached in my career. He didn't take the loss well the other night. I don't take the loss well. And I think that's something that's a good thing. I think when you play in a community like Springfield, there are high expectations every year. And there's a lot of pressure. I mean, it goes with it. When we went to the regional back in, I think it was 2003, they hadn't gone to the regional in 35 years. So to go to the regional every year was a goal. And we had freak things, bad luck, injuries, illness, buzzer beaters, things that had gone awry. And I think every year the kids felt that pressure. And I think pressure is a privilege. I mean, pressure is a privilege because I think pressure means that it's meaningful, that it's something that people care about. And to live in a community where there's pressure means it's a privilege that you have an opportunity to coach somewhere where people care about success and they value it. And there's obviously high expectations and aspirations for bigger and better things in Springfield. And for us, what we've tried to do is look at what do we got to do defensively? We got to be better defensively. And in a LeBray game, we didn't shoot the ball well. And part of that is execution where you don't get the shots you want because you didn't execute. And you got to give them credit. I mean, they're a good ball club and they played a great game. But we have to look at our perspective of what do we need to do to get better. The execution part is the little things, how you come off screens, box outs, how you approach defending a screen, all those things that you kind of take for granted are little things that blown assignments. Blown assignment can cost you a game in the tournament. So details matter. You have to be willing to show attention to the details because you're going to run into better and better teams every step of the way. Every step down the tournament trail is a better ball club. And to be able to beat the better ball clubs, you better be able to do the little things, and you better be able to sit down in a half court game and be able to execute, or you're going to lose. That's the bottom line.
I love that you made it a step because every tournament game is just another step towards your ultimate goal. But you can't look 2 steps ahead. If you try to take 2 steps instead of 1, you're going to trip. Right. How have you kind of kept this team focused on the team that's in front of them and not look forward to district championship or anything before you get there and just take 1 step at a time?
Yeah, I think it's, again, goes back to the kids that we have. Our football team, I thought Coach Guerrero did a great job of that. They went game by game. You do your job. And we kind of talked to our team about embrace the grind. You have to embrace the grind. It's basketball's a long season, longest season of any of the sports in high school. And I go back to there are a multitude of games, and to be able to bring that competitive nature every night, you have to embrace it. You have to appreciate the dirty work, the lunch bell work. And that's kind of something we've sold our team on.
Coach, you talked about the outside pressure, and with that pressure, though, does come community support. So talk about being able to have the success this season to then be able to host a couple of a sectional semi and a sectional final game at Springfield and being able to play in front of that home crowd and get that support.
Oh, I think it's a huge thing for our kids. I think for our seniors to get 2 more home games when you never know when your season's done, are you going to get home games? And they've changed the format to allow that now. And I think for our seniors to get the 2 additional home games and to give Tiger Nation a chance to be back at Clinton Smith Court and to pack the jungle. I mean, it's just a tremendous place to play, to be in front of the fans. The community support there is unbelievable. And you guys have seen games out there and covered games. And it's just to be in your hometown where you have the following that we have. And as I said, it's a privilege. There's just a multitude of people that it becomes a fabric of the community with the athletics. It's interwoven. And I appreciate that. And our players, it's something we sell our players on, that you are part of the community. The community values this. It is part of the fabric. It's something that's appreciated. And again, it is high expectations. I mean, people there have very high expectations. But for us, I go back to what you said. I agree 100%. It's the proverbial 1 game at a time. You have to look at the tournament trail as 1 step. It goes back to the old Jim Valvano. I'm sure you guys have seen that 30 for 30 with Valvano, Survive and Advance. It's one of my favorite 30 for 30 episodes. But what a great statement for anyone in the tournament trail, survive and advance. It's not always going to be pretty. It doesn't always have to be great, but you got to find a way to survive. How do you get down and survive? And part of that is embracing the grind. You have to be able to embrace that and appreciate that and fight through that. And the one thing I think that we have that is really special is you have kids that grew up together, that have played together since 3rd, 4th grade. There's a love for each other. I mean, they got a friendship. These are guys that grew up, that hang out together. They stay over each other's houses. Their families are friends, and it just they spend a lot of time together. So there is definitely at least a little bit of devotion to each other and caring and unselfishness. I mean, you look at our game last night. We had a size advantage. Alex Rothwell goes off in the first quarter, scores about 18 points. Adam Wary, guy's a capable 30-point guy. I don't even know if he took a shot. And I said, Adam, we got to I'll run a set for you, get you a shot. And his thing is, Coach, I'm fine. I'm good. Don't worry about it. We're killing them inside. Let's keep attacking. And that's the kind of guys we got. I mean, you have guys like just leadership, unselfish play. I'm going to be honest, I'm a coach. It's a dream. It's an absolute dream to have the players. I go back and say, I've coached for 35 plus years now. It's probably one of the best classes of kids I've ever coached in terms of the people that I have. Just great young men to be a part of. And I said, my biggest regret right now is that I've only had them for 1 year. And for a lot of these guys, especially with the football guys, you've only had them for a few months. So you don't really get to build the relationship that you would have over 8-9 years of knowing them since grade school. Luckily I have a little bit of background because I know their families, because I'm from Springfield, and have some accountability going back with their home.
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and talk about your program more and to preview this next game and talk about the tournament run that you guys are on. And we wish you the best of luck in the future games that you have, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. You guys do a great job with coverage in the area, and we're lucky in Mahoning Valley to have you guys around to cover us for sports. So thank you.
That means a lot, Coach. Thank you again.
Thank you, Coach. As always, we love covering that Springfield Tigers community and all of their athletics.
Jeff Brink of Springfield Tigers, head coach of the boys team that will host East Palestine on Friday in the sectional final with the trip to districts on the line. They trying to go for a back-to-back district championship, and they got to regionals last year. They're trying to do it again this year. That'll do it for today's show. No better way to cap off the show than to interview a coach like that. We want to thank Bernard Scott. We want to thank Bernard Scott, obviously, Coach Brink and Coach Upshire for giving us their time as well today. We're going to take a 22-hour break. We'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 2. Casual Sports Podcast coming up next. DJ and Scotty will have you covered for the Power Hour from 3 to 4. And then all the tournament games that are happening tonight. Once again, reminder, $9.99 gets you access to all the tournament games. So one payment of $9.99 gets you access to all the tournament games that are going on tonight. Make sure that when you're buying it from our site. There are a lot, even in our comments today, I didn't put it up, but there's someone that shared a fake link in our comment. Make sure you are knowing what you're paying for. We don't want you to accidentally subscribe for Fubu TV or things like that. Make sure that when you're, setting up what you're paying for, make sure you know it's $9.99. It's from YSN and know what you're paying for. It's the last.
And if you're buying games too, a lot of them are following each other, so you could have a full night, 2 games almost guaranteed, 6 and 7:30 starts for a lot of them.
And if let's say you're at Struthers, you're watching Liberty and Waterloo, and then you watch Brookfield and Ursuline, you can go home, and if you paid that $9.99, you can play back the other Division III games if you want, or any other games that you want. So still a lot of value in buying $9.99, even if you're at the games, because you can go back and DVR.
You could be at the game and have the game on your phone, and you could be seeing everything going on everywhere.
If you're a real junkie, you can have like 2 iPads set up. If you're at Struthers, it's perfect because you have that wall in the front row, so you can sit in the front row, maybe tape 2 iPads to the wall.
It's going all over.
I've done that before. No, come on.
We'll see you tomorrow, 12 to 2 on Running Point. It should be a fun one.